And joining us to discuss the Jenin operation and this afternoon's terrorist attack in Tel Aviv is Dan Diker, president of the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. Dan, it looks like it was a lone wolf attack in Tel Aviv. Operations in Jenin can't prevent this kind of attack, can they? As long as there's motivation, it's really tough to deal with.
Steve, I don't think it was a lone wolf attack at all. I think that the investigation has just begun. The Iranian regime, the IRGC, is behind these attacks. They were behind the ramming attack a month ago. They were behind. We have 100 attempted terror attacks against Israelis every month as an average, and you can trace between the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hamas, and other proxies of the IRGC and the Iranian regime. You can trace them right back to Tehran. Let's be very clear what's going on in Israel today. What's going on in Israel is that the IRGC, the foreign terror arm of the Iranian regime, is using the northern Sumerian hills as a forward Iranian base in order to attack Tel Aviv ultimately and other major Israeli cities. This is a war for regional freedom. This is not a war against Israel per se. This is a war. This is the same war that the Iranians are fighting against the UAE when they bomb their airport. It's the same war that they're fighting the Saudis when they bomb Saudi via the Houthis. It's the same war they're fighting from Gaza and also from Lebanon and Syria with hundreds of rockets that they are firing. They have fired at Israel and will continue to do so.
So it seems like this has to be fought systematically, but do you think that the Jenin operation at least reached its goal, its short-term goals?
The IDF in ongoing consultations has indicated that it's increasing and widening its operations. It's my assessment that this is only the beginning. I mean, we have Iranian proxy forces and operatives also in Nablus, which is in northern Samaria. So this is the beginning. It's a hornet's nest of terror that is overlooking Ben Gurion Airport, overlooking Israel's major infrastructures, major highways, and coastal cities. Our friends in the West have got to understand this is not Israel versus Palestinian terrorists because there's no Palestinian state. That's absolutely 180 degrees from the truth. The truth is this is an ideological war that is being prosecuted by the Iranian regime and has been doing so for 44 years. And it's, I think, poetic. It's the 247th year of American freedom and independence. Israel today, 75 years after it proclaimed its independence as a free, democratic, Jewish majority state, is still fighting for its freedom and independence as a small nation state in an Arab Muslim majority Middle East.
Dan, Jenin is largely controlled by the Islamic Jihad and Hamas. Will the area, or can it be pacified enough for the Palestinian Authority to reestablish authority? And is that a goal of Israel? Can we trust that Abbas would do the job if handed back the keys?
Steve, the problem is that the Palestinian Authority has failed miserably to control the areas under its security administration. They've been trained and financed by the Americans. They've been trained in Jordan. They've been given all of the necessary weapons and directives and budgets that they need, but they refuse to take on the Iranian proxy groups because they don't want to. Mahmoud Abbas believes that his public would further turn against him if they were to have some sort of what's essentially a bit of a civil war between these terror operatives and the Palestinian security forces. So it's not a question of whether he would take control if he were given the keys. He's thrown the keys away, and he's opened the door to Iranian proxy groups. So Mahmoud Abbas is the problem. He's not the solution.
What is the administrative solution? I mean, once you've won the military battle, how do you administer Area A? I mean, the areas that are just filled with Palestinian population, and Israel doesn't even have any settlement presence.
Steve, did you notice that in the 7 major Palestinian cities, which contains the vast majority of the 1.45 million Palestinians in what is known as the former West Bank of Jordan or Judea and Samaria, there are no demonstration, protests, or mass uprisings in any of the other cities. That's because the Palestinian public, by and large, is sick and tired of a terrorist kleptocracy called the Palestinian Authority and their utter failure in order to move their people towards freedom, prosperity, security, and stability. So what we have is the opportunity through what we call shared economic pathway to peace, and you have 16, as I've mentioned before on a different program, you have 16 shared commercial industrial areas under Israeli administrative control that employ tens of thousands of Palestinians at very high rates of monthly compensation. The way to win.
Dan, we're going to have to end it there. But as you know, those workers continued coming. Even as the fighting is continuing in Jenin, the workers continue coming in. We're going to have to leave it there. Dan Diker from the Jerusalem Center, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Steve.